All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. This is Czar from Zerillion Trading. It's 2 minutes to 3 a.m. here in New York zone. It's amazing how early 3 a.m. comes, even though I've been up for quite a while today, and just getting my voice in order here, having some coffee, a little caffeine to get things going, and hopefully the market will have a little caffeine here this morning as well. So we can get ourselves a trade here live on the stream. We haven't been able to get too much out of the get-go, out of the gates here, either in London or in New York, because of the range boundedness and the just getting stuck inside of that initial opening candle, as we talk about here. For those who have been here around for a while, well, it's only been 2.5 weeks for us here on YouTube. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's been an interesting series of opens here. And so we've had to wait till a little bit later in the session in order to get that range expansion and take trades, and it's been very profitable for us. But we've had to be a little bit more patient, and that's a great lesson, I think, for all of us. But I want to welcome you here for those who are new, and for those who are not new, I want to welcome everybody. It's Thursday. We're running into towards the end of the week here, looking for some action, so to speak, although that's not, I don't recommend trading for action, but you know what I'm talking about, hopefully. For those who are new, I will say that what we're doing here is very simple. We have a 10-minute chart on the left-hand side, and we have a 1-minute chart on the right-hand side, and that's about it. You won't find any indicators on these charts except for this EMA. There's a little 20 EMA. I had this off yesterday. I was doing a VWAP, funnily enough, an indicator video yesterday, so I had that turned off, but I'll put it back on. The 20 EMA, you can use whatever length of EMA you want. There's nothing magical about 20. Just the one that I happen to prefer. We're getting driving down in prices now, and I actually considered taking a short right before the market open here on my own account. I wouldn't have shared that live since I didn't take the trade. I'm going to tell you the idea, and this is something you'll learn as we're here breaking out of this pre-market. This is the Asian range, actually, the entire Asian range captured here within this zone that you see, marked with this very simple support marker here and resistance above. And now price is breaking out. We're getting that range expansion from the Asian range. It doesn't mean London's going to do anything fancy or interesting for that matter. But for now, we're getting a move. This is the first candle now, of course, of London. London's open. We are 1 minute in, moving into the second 1-minute candle of the London Open. The only other screen we will look at from time to time is this one. I call it the Sisters. This is the Four Sisters. I only have 3 sisters in New York, but in London I add the DAX to it. These are indices. On the left-hand side is the NASDAQ. That's the one we're trading today here on the live stream. And then the Dow to the right of it, the S&P to the right of it, and the DAX German index on the far right as well. You could also look at the FTSE to get some ideas here. But the reason I look at these is we're looking for synchronicity, congruency, and deviation or divergence from each other to garner insights as to what that next move might be. We can get some really interesting information from these. And you will see here this little blue line kind of moving out now to the right as more prices print is the London Open. And so all 4 of these indices now are trading below the London Open. Not true. Look at the DAX. Look what it's doing. And this is very interesting. The DAX is actually catapulting and rallying from the London Open, whilst the other 3, the US indices, have dropped below and are selling off. So now this is something we don't see every day. It does happen from time to time. But for whatever reason, US is continuing its weakness from last night, and the DAX is being bought up. So we're going to watch this fairly closely and see if we can get some information and take a trade based on it. The big question is Germany, since this is the London Open, a European Open, is Germany leading the pack here? And will the US be pulled up? And it looks like that's kind of what's sort of starting to happen here now in the 1-minute chart. Or is it the other way around? So again, we'll be watching that and trying to get some clues here as to what to do next. The reason I'm in no rush here while these prices are flying up and down is because I typically wait until the first 10-minute candle closes before taking a position. And the reason I do that is to really get an idea of what the direction might be after the initial flurry of action, rebalancing, equalizing is done. right? A lot of institutions here, foundations, endowments, big banks, big brokerages who need to do some rebalancing and things, ETF managers, mutual fund managers. They're all taking positions here and getting out of positions and rebalancing and stuff. At the risk of repeating myself, and so we want to make sure we get a lot of that flurry out of the way, the chaos of that opening few seconds or few minutes, and then say, okay, now where are we going to go today in this move? And we may be able to garner whether this is a trending day, or if it's going to be a ranging day, just from these initial first few flurries. And the pre-market setup, of course, is a big part of that. And you'll learn more about that as you watch and view our expanding content here in the next few days and weeks. We've only been around for about 2.5 weeks. I've already produced and uploaded about 83 videos on YouTube. That's got to be a record of some kind. But we'll be doing a lot more. We have no problem creating content here. Many of those videos are live trading and or recordings of live trades that go out to our Telegram group, typically in advance, so that the members can get an idea of what I'm thinking here, and then just garner some ideas for their own trading, perhaps, and get a little perspective that might be somewhat different from what they're doing now. We do things very simply here. Didn't always. I have a long background in the financial industry, asset management at a high level. Technical analyst for longer than 25 years, but a chartered market technician for 23 plus years now, from the MTA, the Market Technicians Association, New York. But there weren't any really real credentials before that. But I learned from the originals, Edwards and McGee and Schaubacher and Bernstein, Weinstein, Martin Pring, John Murphy, you name it. I can name drop all day, but I won't. Elliott and Wave Theory, of course. Frost and Prechter. Trader Vic, who was well known back in the 80s and the 90s. Victor Sparendale. But here we are, watching this thing open with naked charts, even though I've had at times had 10 or more indicators on my charts. I used to use a lot of oscillators and histograms and things like that, moving average combinations. I still do use moving averages, by the way, for my position and swing trading. And we'll be doing a lot of work on that. I'm actually primarily a swing and position trader. I believe the big money is made in the swing and adding into winning positions. That's how you can really layer on the wealth, in my humble opinion. We do scalp because we enjoy it and because we can do it, and YouTube likes it. And I repeat this just about every morning because we're just getting up to speed now in a critical mass of viewers in these early days. So I appreciate your patience with some repetition here. The support and resistance zones you see here, I just do that ahead of the market open just to get some perspective. I do this really more for you, the viewer. I can now see this without even having the in my mind, without having the markers. But these arrows, by the way, are not predictions. And for those who are new, these arrows are just showing where I believe that prices may move fairly freely given the clean traffic to the left. And you see that here, and you'll see that down here. I'll just zoom you out here to the left. You see that there? And there's some noise behind it, and then some clean traffic, very clean traffic here, and you'll see the same sort of thing down below with some noise behind it. But you'll see over and over again as you watch these videos that prices will do exactly what I'm explaining here from time to time in a very clean way, and it'll be so clear to you that those arrows probably made some sense. And why don't I do this every day? Kind of a question, right? So I'd encourage you to think along those lines and see how you can just add to your own trading approach by thinking about candle action in those terms. And we go into a lot more detail on candle anatomy and candle biology in these videos, so I encourage you to go back in some of the historic videos here, the history, only 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks of history, but there's a lot of stuff in there. We talk a lot about these matters. I won't go over it all today. It's, again, very early here, 3:08 a.m. my time. 2 minutes left in the initial candle. And again, we're having kind of no direction here. No direction here on the open. We're sitting at basically a doji candle again, as we've seen the last few London opens. and just waiting for things to give us some direction. 1:45. I'm going to take a break here, have a quick glass of water. Very dry air here as we move into these colder months. All right, still watching and really seeing nothing happening here, right? We can see, go back to the sisters here for a minute. You'll see sitting right on the London Open, on the London Open, on the London Open, and just above the London Open now on the DAX, right? So zero direction. But I can tell you that there will be a lot of certainly newbie scalpers and day traders who would have got hammered on that open by taking this, a short position and getting whipped out if their stop was fairly close. And for protection, it probably should be fairly close. And I've just been doing this long enough to know how some newer scalpers think, and they would have gotten hurt, many. So waiting for that initial flurry and that chaos to calm down and settle down is often a good idea, depending on your methodology, right? 10 seconds left in the opening candle, and now look at what's happening. That was a blue candle for most of the first 10 minutes, right? The candle is closed. It actually closed a bullish candle, a white candle in my case. You'll have different coloring, perhaps. And so what I'm going to do now is notice the support zone that you saw there. I'm now going to move it down to here, right? As we have new information being printed, I'm going to revise our structure zones to incorporate that new information. Now, why there? Well, it's because that opening candle is very important. It sets kind of the opening range. But you'll notice how those two bodies culminated at the same level. And I'm willing to bet that that's going to be an important level here in the next few minutes. And so we'll see if that is in fact the case. Just checking in here with my Telegram group. I encourage you to join Zebelian Trading at Telegram. Free Telegram group. Everything we do here is free. We don't charge for anything. We're just sharing our knowledge and experience just for the love of the game. And we hope you can come along with us. We want to learn from you too. This is a two-way thing. Why we why I started the group is to learn from others as well. Even after now in my 4th decade of trading, I have a beginner's mind and just am hungry to learn from other traders, even newer traders who will have a different spin and different take on how to look at these things. And you never stop learning. I never stop learning. Only 2 minutes into the second candle. Still range bound in here. I've been actually thinking, because again, we're brand new at this streaming thing. I've been thinking about not even streaming right on the open and maybe coming in about an hour later or so and then starting the live stream where many of our trades have been taking place later. And I almost don't want to waste people's time with an open where I, just based on my own methodology, won't necessarily be taking a trade. But here's something, this could be a move now back up to the top of this range, but I'm not seeing a lot of conviction yet, as was the case yesterday. But there's nothing now to stop this from moving up. A legitimate idea to enter here, then see if we can close that candle. But without a bottom wick, without a bottom wick on this new candle, I'm not as interested. But a good chance that this will close this clean wick, clean candle body here. See that driving up there now, and you'll see the action on the 1 minute chart kind of confirming that. We use the 1 minute for refining the entries, and for things like dynamically moving stop losses and targets and things of that nature. And that's explained in many of our videos that you see on our YouTube channel already. Let's see if we can get some conviction behind this particular candle. Or this thing's going to reverse and drive down. I become very interested in this zone down here where this arrow is. And so if this flips and then breaks a structure, then I become interested in a short position, just so you know what I'm thinking here. This zone indicated by the arrows, 30, 31 points. Not a bad move at all. You can do very well nailing, 20, 30, 40 points and be done for the day, depending on what your risk profile is and what your R multiples are. I always recommend that people do not risk more than 1% on a particular trade idea. Even less, half of 1% of an account. This is not a signal service, by the way. We recommend not copying trades blindly here, but to learn theory and philosophy and biology of trades, and then apply it to your own methodology and your own belief system. We are all wired very differently, and different things will appeal to different brain structures and even human backgrounds. Your experience in life will play a big part in terms of how you interpret market information, whether it's friendly or antagonistic and things of this nature. And we'll talk a lot more about psychology as we go through this. One of my great loves and interests is the psychology of trading. And we haven't even scratched the surface on that topic, and we'll be doing a lot of videos on that. I'm also a certified practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming and have been for nearly 30 years now, and so bring a lot of structure of thinking to my trading practice. Learning from the original kind of creators of NLP, Richard Bandler and John Grinder and some others who had played a big part. All right, notice again this candle. See, no conviction in why, we could have been sucked in there, and this might drive up, and there's a good chance of it, but because there was no conviction at that time, no bottom wick, I wasn't interested in taking that. I avoided taking an entry here, even though it might now drive up, given that there's a bottom wick in place, and that's a better structure to move from. You see in the 1 minute chart here, a legitimate entry would be, for some methods, to kind of enter here on a break of this structure for a drive up into this zone or even to the top of this area here, right? This is not a trade for me, by the way, but it's a legitimate idea. Or even now, a flip above here. See how prices are moving back up again? You can take the flip of this previous candle now that the trail has been blazed here, and then get a fill of this body that you see over here, right? So there's 20 points. I'm not taking that this morning. I'm just not, again, like in the last few days, not feeling or sensing any kind of conviction behind these moves. No trade for me. I'm likely going to wait for that typical these days range expansion later in the session, and we'll come on either do a pop-up live stream or a recording of that. I will send the idea to my Telegram group ahead of time, as I'm now doing on a regular basis. Again, this Telegram group now, I think only 6 or 7 days, business days old, and we have 64 members. Great sharing in the group. Yesterday, going deep on sharing lots of charts from other members with brilliant ideas from very seasoned traders. It's a great group, and so I encourage you to join us there and share your ideas too. Once again, gang, looks like I'll just probably close the live stream here. Just an introduction in terms of what we do. I'm going to tell you now what I'm looking for, so I don't leave you completely hanging here. Those zones I mentioned, marked by those arrows, those paths of least resistance, in my humble opinion. If prices get up into here or down into this area, I would be looking for shorts down here, longs up here. But specifically what I'm looking for as a signature, if you will, in a structure is this. If prices break and close on the 10-minute chart in this upper zone, create an upper wick, and then the next candle creates an upper wick as well. In other words, a pullback, and you'll see it happen here on the 1-minute chart, pulling back towards, if not penetrating, the 20 EMA, and then reversing and driving back up again. That's normally for me a relatively textbook entry level. There are other criteria, and I encourage you not to just follow what I said blindly, but there are other things like symmetry, proportion, the extension of a move. If it's really highly extended, like many white candles, for instance, in advance of that, I may be more reticent to take that, and so on, right? We want the structure to be resourceful and to be efficient. And the inverse or the converse would be true if prices get down here into this lower zone. So you get the idea. Again, if you're joining our group, I'll be sending those ideas out in advance and likely recording any trades that I enter or attempt. And if we get a win, a loss, or break even, I'll fire those videos out, and you can see how I manage those trades too, because the in-trade management is so critically important as well. Now it looks like prices are driving down here a little bit into this minor zone, but we'll wait to see if that plays out. Still very much in the center of that opening range candle, so nothing for me here. You see that candle there? This is the opening range for me, and if as long as we're inside of that, zero interest for me. Okay, everybody has their own method though. I want to wish you a phenomenal trading day here on this Thursday. If we don't see you a little bit later on with some range expansion and some entries here, we'll see you in New York if you can make that session. Hopefully we'll get something on the open on New York, and or we'll see you tomorrow in London. Have an amazing day, and we will talk soon. Thanks for joining us, guys. Take care.